And welcome back, intrepid travelers. Now, I have kind of stopped my Tahira Let's Plays. I just got bored with, I don't know, narrating all that strategy experience. Some of those missions and maps went on for way too long. Now, I enjoyed them personally. They were fun to play through. Maybe a little bit tedious when you've got to mop up singular enemies. But overall, a good experience, but just not something that translated well to actually, my own Let's Play kind of style. So, I'm kind of finished that, but I thought I would at least, give an overview of what else was left with the game, what other missions were there, and then just show you the story elements that popped up as well. So, of course, the next match after that one was just kind of defending the position we'd already taken over, getting through the barricades and stopping people from getting through. Now, we were assaulted on all three sides again, of course, and we had to control various lanes. Now, I did stuff this up with my placement originally, not putting enough people both right and left. The right people fared a bit well, but my left side, I thought it was a good idea to put people in the gap to stop them from getting through, but really I should have moved them back and then let the people come through the gap so I could encircle them and kill them quicker. As it was, I let myself be like basically a pin cushion for the archers, as well as just taking way too much damage when I was there. I figured that out eventually and mopped them up pretty quickly, but it just took a bit too much more time. One of the funny elements was getting towards the barbarians. Now, I actually like their design. It's really cool and they're fun to fight against, just because of both their armor but also because their skills as well. Now, we used our own hammer squad to absolutely wreck those fools, but just getting all those reinforcements from them made that fight take a bit longer than it needed to. I also I would guess, stuffed up strategically again in having, I would say, too many people there. Now, I think I did the right approach with funneling them through that gap into my own kill zone, but I just had too many soldiers there, and quite a few of them weren't actually able to take actions each turn just because there was other people in the way, especially when you're jumping between the different types of soldiers. So you've moved all your hammer troops, but then, Baratis can't move because others are in the way, and vice versa. So it didn't work out too well. It might have been better if I just left the hammer's troops there to move around and kill, and let Barati's troops try and mop up the rest. It probably would have gone quicker if I'd done that. And this one was, I didn't actually realize, but we were heading into the last mission. I thought we had a little bit more gameplay here. And I was surprised with, I don't know, just not having that hard a time with it. I'd heard it was maybe a little bit difficult. Not obviously as difficult as Banner Saga, but still reasonably difficult. But I didn't have that much trouble with it, really, even not knowing the maps and the mechanics to start off with. Doesn't give you that much of a challenge. The larger fights are fun, but yeah, just it'd be nice to see a bit more variety in the enemy types, especially when it comes to their commanders and their skills that you kill throughout. Now the last map has you holed up in Barad. You got a big wall to defend to start off with. You got to place your people around, and there are certain waves of enemies that come up ladders. Now, the hard part here is you have to take care of those ladders as quickly as possible, because each turn they will send up new soldiers each time to try and attack you again. I did end up finding a little fix for that, where if you put a person 2 steps back from the ladder, it doesn't actually activate them, even if there is a person there. So that was funny, because they come out in a straight line, which is just one of their mechanics. But I guess you could work around that. It wasn't too hard to do that. I did fail originally in this, or not so much fail, I could have probably pushed through, but I put way too many people down the bottom area. I thought there might be some troops coming through there at the start as well, so I had an ambush tactic near the stairs. Unfortunately, no troops came there for a while, and you can't actually use those stairs until much later in the mission, which is a little bit silly if you mind me. Like, that seems like an unnecessary, restriction there for people that do stuff up like me and not realize you don't need to put people down there straight away. Now, what they made that hard originally was, of course, the barbarians jumping down the side. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. And that's what stuffed me up, because I didn't have anyone over that side. I didn't have enough people to defend that side, and all my rest of them were downstairs. So I restarted, came back, and I put my people in a better spot. In a spot ready for an ambush. So we took care of them reasonably quickly. Now, you do take a few rounds of this until you get to the next phase, where you get a few rounds of enemies coming from the bottom area, smashing through the gate. Now, this is a lot of troops. It is in the start, it feels like a lot, and they do overwhelm you pretty quickly, because you got to move your people from upstairs to downstairs, and that takes a bit of time. I put Tahira in a bit of trouble there, and she got quite low on the health, just because I fired my lasers, smacked around all of those first soldier groups, because they were in a nice line. I don't know, they must have baited me into it, because then immediately after, they've surrounded her and started whacking around. And then the next wave of enemies has come in, and oh my god, she was in trouble for quite a bit there. But we pushed through and eventually surrounded the group, which made it a lot easier to kill. And another little exploit kind of thing I figured out was, they come through that gate in a specific pattern. A group of six, and then you've got a space row and then another 6. Now, if you actually have soldiers in those spaces where they need to move to, they don't come through the door. So you could effectively stop any and all reinforcements from coming through if you really wanted to. I think that would work. And that's it. And then it was mission end. We got the last little scene, which was actually quite harrowing and emotional, seeing Baradi charge forward, trying to take care of you. You had to kill the captain, getting through the other soldiers first. And then, unfortunately, getting shot down by arrows. It was so sad. But this gave Tahira the time to use her skills to its full effect and literally destroy a mountain on top of this army. Nice. And that's it. That was the Tahira playthrough. A nice little ending, I must say, but I don't know. I wish it was a longer experience, but also that the maps and the missions were a bit smaller than they were. Don't take as much time to finish. It just kind of bogged down in the minutiae of that action, the rote style of chasing and killing gameplay that eventually that strategy on a map becomes. Well, Well, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed Tahira at least as much as I did. And you know, check out my other games at the moment. We've got Terraria, the Super Terraria mod. We've got good old Crosscode, and of course our Darkest Dungeon playthrough. Now I might be starting some more stuff soon as well. I really do want to get into Wasteland 2, but I've also been itching to play Mordheim City of the Damned. I did play that a long time ago back in its beta, and now it seems to be a lot bigger and more flashed out experience with all the races involved, single player modes, great multiplayer, and it just looks like an amazing experience now. And plus I love me some Warhammer. So that's it, and I will see you next time. Adios.